We got a question from the platypus. He said, "Do we think Jonah, or if Jonah keeps this current level of play up, do we think the Bengals will secure him long term before free
Hell, I
agency?"
would if I was the
Yeah,
Bengals.
we talked about it. We talked about it last week a
Yeah,
little bit.
it fixes your offensive line spot. It gives you another spot you don't have to worry about in the offensive line, because then you're looking at if we're being realistic, guys, right? And that's what we like to do on the show. We like to be realistic. If we're looking at it, um, there's a question mark probably with the left guard position long term, right? You're looking at you have to start thinking about Teddy K. Honestly, you have to think about what the future holds at the center position, and then right tackle. So if you were able to, get Jonah Williams, lock him down, that's one less position you have to worry about. Now, ideally, you would think Teddy K would want to stay here at Cincinnati, but you still should have a contingency plan in place for the event that he does retire, because a lot of these guys have been playing football for quite some time.
Yeah.
You don't know, people's motivations changes, especially after a team potentially wins a championship. You don't, if this Bengals team does win a championship, you have to have a contingency in place because it has to continue to move forward. So my thought process is don't create an unnecessary hole if you don't have to. I think that Jonah Williams' play so far has been deserving of a contract. He has not had it easy. He's gone up against some elite pass rushers. He's answered the bell. I've always been a firm believer that Jonah Williams, all he needed was we need to just chill on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially considering what he dealt with last year.
And I want to piggyback on that. I see another question from Iron Man in there, who's kind of talking more about the offensive line, where he brings up a good point of, when do we criticize the team and say that, state that they've had an inability to draft offensive linemen pretty consistently. And I think anybody would have a hard time arguing otherwise, man. If you're looking at everybody that they've taken swings on in the last 5-6 years, I mean, is Volson and Jonah the only ones who have worked out? And it took Jonah a long way to get there, where you felt consistently confident that he was going to be good year to year to year, or at least play at a competent level for an offensive tackle. And, Volson, to his credit, is holding his own as best he can. But at the same time, he is a prospect from an FCS school who was picked in the 4th round. Again, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just trying to adjust our levels of expectations for him, right? So I think that's fair. And I think it says a lot that the Bengals had to go out and sign Orlando Brown and Alex Kappa and Ted Karras and these outside guys to really shore up their line. So I think they say, hey, we've been pretty damn good at drafting corners and safeties the last couple of years. Why don't we do that and then sign our offensive linemen, which I've always been a big fan of, because then you mitigate that risk. It usually takes 3 to 4 years for offensive linemen to really hit their stride anyway. So why go through those 2 to 3 years of struggles
Especially if you don't have to.
Right. If you can just get the finished product, you don't have to take the chance. You don't have to take the gamble. Do that on other positions that you're consistently better at drafting at.
Yeah.
I think let me talk about that a little bit. I love that point, man, because I think sometimes you gotta get
self-scout your scouting.
So you have to honestly put your ego aside too. If it's not working, right? If the drafting isn't drafting, as they say, then you've got to do what's best for your football team, honestly. And if it's a situation where you find more success by going out there signing guys, that's what you probably should do. The one thing I'll say about Jonah is the guy that they drafted, right? Is the one offensive lineman that they drafted that has had a brighter future.
He was only he was the only top 12 pick that they had for that too. Where was Abway? Was he 18 or 21 or something like that? It was in that.
But I also
range.
want to remind people too, though, Jonah Williams wasn't some trash player. He was expected to go top 5. When the Bengals got him, that was looked at as a home run get, because a lot of people thought the Jets were going to draft him. So you think about it, Jonah Williams would have got drafted by a lot of football teams. The Bengals were the one that was fortunate enough to draft him. So it's not like they completely missed, because if they missed on Jonah Williams, the entire league missed on Jonah Williams, right? The fact of the matter is, I think that because you're getting more out of him at the right tackle position, it leaves the door open for him to return at right tackle, especially when you're looking at the way he's playing right now.